Adam and Eve's great sin against God, the fall. God placed Adam and Eve as rulers over all the animals on the earth. God allowed Adam to name all the animals that existed. God would walk and talk with Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. This is important. Before they fell, God would appear to them in person and walk and talk with Adam and Eve regularly. And this was wonderful, and it was comfortable, and it was natural, and there was no problem with it. There were all kinds of plants, fruit, and vegetables in the Garden of Eden for Adam and Eve to eat. Now, in the middle of the Garden of Eden, there was a tree called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God said to Adam and Eve, "You may surely eat of every tree in the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. For on the day that you eat it, you shall surely die." This is in Genesis chapter 2, verses 16 to 17. Now, one day, the devil, who was an enemy of God, came to Eve as a serpent, in the form of a serpent. Now, in case there's any doubt that the serpent mentioned in the Garden of Eden is actually the devil, because sometimes people will say, well, I don't know if that's a devil. It says it's a serpent. Could it have just been a snake? Maybe it wasn't the devil. It was the devil. You know, one of the great things about the Bible is there's one author of the Bible, God. Okay? There's many people who wrote it. God, through the Holy Spirit, would speak through the people, and they would write exactly what he wanted written. But there is one author, and it's God. So all throughout the Bible, you'll find that in one area of the Bible, it'll explain in more detail something that happened in another part of the Bible. The Bible explains itself many times. And later on in the Bible, it explains who the serpent is, and explains that, yes, the serpent is the devil, whose name is Satan. Now, and what I'm going to read next is from the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verses 9. It talks about this serpent. It says, "And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him." So the book of Revelation informs us that Satan is also called the devil, the ancient serpent, and the dragon. So this serpent, or the devil, lied to Eve to tempt her to sin against God and destroy both her and Adam's relationship with God, and destroy God's plan for mankind. So the serpent came up to Eve, and he said to her, "Did God actually tell you to not eat from any tree in the garden?" Eve responded to the serpent, "God said we shall not eat from the fruit of the tree in the middle of the garden, or we will die." The serpent said, "You will not die. God told you that because he knows that if you eat from it, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good from evil." Genesis chapter 3, verses 5. Okay, so what did Satan, now remember how this played out. God came to Adam and Eve, who he walked with every day. He created them. Adam saw God create Eve kind of right in front of him. They walked with them every day. They talked with them every day. And God said, "Do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. When you do, you will surely die." Satan wanted them to sin against God, to go against them, to rebel against them, to sin against God. So he can't make anybody sin, but he could tempt them to sin. And what did he tempt them with? He tempted her with saying, "If you eat from the tree, you will not die," as God said. God's lying you, Eve, which is a lie. "If you eat from it, your eyes will be open and you will be like God." So he tempted her with, hey, if you do this that God forbids you to do, you're going to be God like him. And he doesn't want that. That's why he told you not to do this. Okay? So they had a choice to make. Adam and Eve had a choice to make. Do they follow their father, their creator, the one that loved them, the one that made them, the one that talked with them and walked with them regularly in the Garden of Eden, that put them in charge of all the animals and everything? Or do they choose to rebel against what God said to hopefully become a god themselves, which is forbidden? They're told, if you do this, you're going to be like him. You'll be like God, all-knowing. So am I going to follow God, my Father, who loves us, or am I going to try to go against what he said and do something sinful to try to become as powerful as he is? They made the wrong choice. Eve went against what God told her, and she ate from the tree. She then gave the fruit from this tree to Adam, and he ate from it too. Adam's eyes were opened and Eve's eyes were opened, but they didn't become all knowing like God or all powerful like God. What happened? Their eyes were open and they knew that they were naked. So they made themselves loincloths out of fig leaves to hide their nakedness. Now, right before this happened, Adam and Eve were walking with God regularly and talking with him in the garden, and they were naked and there was no shame. They were totally okay. Now they're ashamed. Now they're afraid. Something happened when they sinned against God. A big change happened, and it wasn't a change for the better. It was a change for the worse. So Adam and Eve heard the sound of God walking in the garden, and they hid themselves from him. Now, up to this point, they're walking and talking with him regularly. They had a great relationship. Now they're afraid of him, and they're hiding from him after they sinned. God called out to Adam, or God called out to both of them, "Where are you, Adam and Eve?" Now, God knew where they were. He's God, he knows everything, but he called out to them, "Where are you?" Adam said, "I heard you coming in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid from you." They were just comfortable with God. They had a perfect relationship with him. Now they're afraid because they're naked and they're hiding from him. Now they're hiding from God. Oh, what a great fall indeed. God responded, "How did you know that you were naked? Did you eat from the tree that I forbid you to eat?" Now, of course, God knew they did. He knows everything. Adam responded by blaming both Eve and God for this, taking no responsibility for himself. Adam said, "It was the woman that you gave me to be with that gave me the fruit to eat, so I ate it." Hey, God, I was fine to give this woman, and this woman that you gave me, she's the one that gave me this, so I did it. It's her fault, kind of your fault too. So then God said to Eve, "What have you done?" Eve blamed the serpent, claiming that it tricked her into eating the forbidden fruit. Now, this was in Genesis chapter 3, verse 7 to 13. She was not tricked, okay? She did this in free will. She had a choice to make. Do I want to follow what my loving Father says, who created us and gave us everything? Or do I want to follow what this guy said, the serpent, who said, if you do this, you're going to become a god like him, and he wants to stop you. He doesn't want that. So, she, out of, I guess, pride, arrogance, whatever, wanted to be like God, and she didn't care what the consequences were. And Adam, they knew what they were doing. God will not punish us, unless we sin in our free will. He won't, if we don't even know what we're doing. They knew what they were doing. They wanted to overthrow God in some way. So who is this Satan, or the devil? He's the major evil player all throughout the Bible. So who is he? Who is this? Why did he want to, mess with Adam and Eve, mess with God's creation of man? Again, the Bible explains it.